Shabbat Shalom. This week's Parshat Devarim, we open up with the fifth book of the Torah, named Devarim. The book of Devarim is different from all the other books of the Torah, in that it opens up with Moses recapping the history of the Jews over the last 40 years, and also preparation as the Jewish people prepare for their entrance into the land of Israel, how they are meant to set up a society that is based on the laws of Torah. As such, Parshat Devarim is the parsha linked to the land of Israel. On the other hand, we read in this parsha about the sin of the spies. How Moses had agreed to send the 12 spies to spy out the land of Israel, and instead of coming back with a positive report, like Caleb and Yoshua, the 10 of the spies come back with a negative report, and the Jewish people cry on that night. Hashem says, because you have cried for no reason, that this land I'm giving you is such a good land, a land filled with milk and honey, a land that I promised to your forefathers. This night that you have cried for no reason will be a night in which you will cry for the generations. According to the sages, this night that the spies returned was the night of Tisha Bav. And indeed, it has been a night of crying for generations. As such, our parasha is a juxtaposition or a contrast between the dream of entering the land of Israel and the failure in which we lost the land. In our parasha, Moses opens up with the words, Be'er et HaTorah hazot, that Moses expounds or explains the Torah. Rashi in his commentary on the word Be'er explains that the word Be'er means that he explained it really well in Beshivim Lashonot. In 70 languages, Moses explains the Torah. You may ask yourself the question, why on earth would Moses need to explain the Torah in 70 languages? I mean, surely Hebrew was the holy language, that's sufficient. Explain our sages that the 70 languages is there to teach us that one is able to study the words of the Torah in every country, in any language. And all you have to do is open up a page of Talmud or a page of a Chumash and its commentaries, and we see the contribution of every single country to the teachings and the words of the Torah. You open up a page of Chumash, and there you have the commentary of Rashi from the 11th century in France. We have the commentary of the Ramban, Nachmanides from Spain. We have on the Talmud, the Rif from Morocco. We have scholars from all over the world, from the Middle Eastern countries, from Iraq, from Yemen, from North Africa, from Europe, from the United States, even from here in Australia. Be'er et HaTorah, Moses was telling us that you teach the Torah in every single language because the Torah needs to be understood and be able to expound it in that language. It was the great Maimonides who would write many of his works in Arabic so that the community would understand what he is saying. It is this tradition that follows through with the rabbis giving their sermons in the language that the congregants will understand. Be'er et HaTorah, explain the Torah, expound the Torah. And this is the challenge that every single Rav has, and every single educator, and every single parent has. How am I to be Be'er et HaTorah? How am I going to explain and expound the Torah so that the next generation, that my children, that my students and my grandchildren are able to absorb the lessons and the messages that have been shared to us from Moshe in the past 3,500 years. It is the challenge of every single pedagogue to find the key to unlock the Torah for that generation. It is very simple. When I'm seeking to teach a Torah concept, my first response is, how is it going to be accepted by my community? Will they understand what I'm saying? Some people will say that the drosha of the Rav is so simple that even the child can understand. In my perspective, for me, that is the greatest compliment that I can share. That knowing that every single message that I'm giving is able to be understood by the people who are hearing that message. And it was Moses who expounded the Torah, Beshivim Lashonot, Be'er Heitev, in a way that was succinct and clear that every single person could understand. Every generation has a part in the Torah. Every single Jewish community, no matter where they are in the world, has a part and a share in the Torah. When you open up a Jewish book of wisdom and teaching, we see the collective efforts of the Jewish people. It is all of us together that have enriched this Torah. And maybe this is what the word be'er means. Be'er doesn't only mean to interpret or to commentate. Or the word be'er also means a spring, a wellspring of water bubbling up, fresh, beautiful, sweet water. The means that for every generation that we're able to share the Torah, we're able to provide a new insight and a new teaching for that generation. Shabbat Shalom.